Welcome to our channel where we show you the ins and outs of woodworking. Today we're diving into the world of jointing wood, and we'll show you 3 different methods to get the job done. Whether you're a professional or just starting out, we'll give you the tips and tricks to achieve the perfect edge. We'll be exploring the wood jointer, table saw sled, and the router table, each with its own unique set of advantages and disadvantages. So get ready to take your joining game to the next level. But before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe for all of our future woodworking videos. Let's get started on joining this together. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to be going over is a wood jointer. A wood jointer is a standalone machine that's basically used to flatten, straighten, and square rough lumber by cutting it along either its face or its edge. So in essence, face jointing versus edge jointing. And that also can help you with running it through a planer later on if you're doing face jointing, because one side of the board will already be flat, and then it's just a matter of just running it through the actual planer itself. So it uses a spinning cutter head with multiple blades to shave off the high spots and then basically create a smooth, flat surface. So the first thing you want to do when you're working with a wood jointer is you want to make sure that your jointer is properly prepared. You want to check that the blades are tight and adjusted to the correct height while the machine's unplugged. I can't stress that enough. And ensure that the in-feed and out-feed tables are level and parallel. So basically you want to just have a small offset between the in-feed and out-feed side of the table so that way you don't take too much off in one shot. So you want to basically square one end of the board to be jointed, marking the high spot with a pencil. After that, you want to start the joiner. Turn on the joiner and wait for it to reach full speed. Most joiners get to full speed almost instantaneously, but some do have a kind of a slow start, so that's why we're bringing that up. Then what you're going to do is you're going to place the board onto the in-feed table with the marked high spot facing the cutter head. So basically you want to start off with the high spot right off the bat. Then you're going to feed the board into the cutter using light, steady pressure, keeping the board flat against the in-feed table and against the back fence. And then just repeat the process until the entire edge has been jointed to your desired level of smoothness. And then that's basically about it. After you're done, just like any other procedure, you're going to run the jointed side against the fence of your table saw while ripping the opposite edge of the board. This will give you perfect straightness. Never joint the board on both sides. It will or not ordinarily come out as straight as you would like, and that can definitely be a problem because we want them nice and straight, right? Okay, our next part is going to be a fan favorite for a lot of beginning woodworkers, and it's called a table saw sled. Table saw sled is basically a jig that you slide onto the table saw to guide the workpiece through the saw blade. It allows for precise and repeatable cuts, making it ideal for joining and straightening edges. The sled uses a fence to guide the workpiece, and the saw blade cuts away the high spots, creating a straight and smooth edge. And unlike the jointer, this is something where you can take it off the sled and then just simply run it right across the table saw fence and rip off that other edge. So that's actually kind of a nice advantage of it. But basically what you want to do is when you want to get that going on, you're going to either build or purchase a joiner sled for your table saw. Basically it's a piece of plywood with a fence on it, ensuring that it's square and level. And we do have a video on actually how to build one of those, and it also will show you how to make tapered edges as well, which is really a nice little feature. You basically want to adjust your blade height to the desired height and make sure that it's perpendicular to the sled. So you want it to basically want the plywood to lay flat on the table, and you want to be able to run that perfectly against the blade. Then once you're good to go, you'll align the workpiece on the sled, making sure that it's tight against the sled fence and make sure that it doesn't wander or travel at all, because obviously that's a literal danger at that point. The one that we built actually has hold downs for that, so that we don't have to worry about it, but you could use things like sandpaper too. Basically, to do the cut, you're just going to turn on the saw and carefully push the sled through the saw blade while holding the sled against the table saw fence. And then just repeat the process until you get a nice smooth edge all the way down that's nice and jointed. And that's really about it. Pretty simple device. They're fairly accurate, but we do have other methods like the jointer and stuff like that. They're a little bit more accurate. So, but great for beginning woodworking. Kind of gets you into the whole point of jointing wood. So I definitely recommend that as an option. The router table is another fan favorite, and probably kind of became one of my favorites. I mean, even though I have a wood joiner, I really like the router table method. Basically, a router table is a work surface that the router can be mounted onto, allowing the user to control the router with both hands while keeping the workpiece stable. The router bit is used to trim and smooth the edge of the workpiece, making it straight and square. And by the way, we do also have a video for this as well. That actually shows you how to get into a more in-depth concept of this if you want to do it. It's actually really easy to do. The workpiece is guided along the fence, and the router bit cuts away the high spots, creating a straight, smooth edge. So all you're really having to do is just install a straight bit into the router and adjust it to the height of the board to match the desired depth of cut. Double-side tape a 1/8 or 1/16 strip of basically veneer, or just a small piece of wood basically, to the outfeed side of the router table fence. Align the board against your fence on the infeed side with the high spot marked on one side that's facing the bit. Basically at that point you'll turn on the router and wait for it to reach full speed. When you go to make the cut though, carefully push the board through the bit using light, steady pressure and keep the board flat against the fence. I cannot stress that enough. Repeat the process until the entire edge has been jointed or to your desired level of smoothness. And then of course, just like before, you're just going to simply go and run that edge that you cut on the router through your table saw along the fence, and pretty much good to go from there. All right, so in conclusion, choosing the right joining method depends on your specific project, requirements, and personal preferences. Whether you're looking for the heavy-duty precision with a wood jointer, that'd be the jointer table that you saw, or the versatility of a table saw sled, which of course definitely can make things pretty easy, or if you're looking for more of a streamlined built-in kind of an application like your router table, which definitely, as you could see in the video, does a really good job. So there's ultimately an option for everybody. The point is that they're all good methods. And that's the part I think a lot of people miss on this. Whether you have the jointer or you have the router or the table saw sled, it doesn't matter. They all do a really good job. Ultimately, though, at the end of the day, the router table and the actual wood jointer itself have a tendency normally to have the best accuracy. However, I got to give the sled a lot of credit. The sled is, for the most part, pretty darn accurate. But table saw blades will sometimes flex a little bit, especially if you have like a cheaper saw. So those ones can have a tendency to have small flaws, where a router typically and a wood joiner are not normally going to have those problems as much. So there is that. And that's only a possibility if you have a table saw that's not built correctly. Like on mine, it doesn't really matter which one I use. It's really which one is more convenient to the project I'm working on. Like on my router table, since I have super long router table, it's a 4-foot router table, I can easily do an 8-foot board on that, no problems. As far as the table saw, I generally try to keep a little bit on the smaller side. Anything really large on a sled is going to typically be a problem unless your sled's huge. So you're kind of limited to the size of your sled. On the wood joiner, on the other hand, we have a little bit of a difference. That can generally do about 2 to 3 times its actual length. So if your joiner is a 6-inch width and then you've got a table like that big, you can probably do about 2 to 3 times that size without having like too many problems. But when you get past about 2 times, you'll start noticing having a little bit of wobble. And that again is where the router table version of this actually kind of wins out. So at the end, the router table is probably the most versatile of all of the different options that are available, just because of the fact that you can lay the board down. There's no real size limit, technically speaking. I mean, you could run a 12-foot board through there as long as your table is well secured to the ground and you're not having any problems like that. The sled obviously has a limitation of the fact that really you only can go just maybe a little bit past the beginning and end of the sled. And the jointer, of course, you have a tipping hazard, so it can tip on either side. So that's the reason why I say the router table, probably the best option in all reality. And again, very, very accurate. So things to kind of keep in mind. I hope this video helps you all out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification icon for all of our newest videos. In the meantime, stay safe in the shop, and we'll see you next time.